Right, it's about the time that we get into our sports chat, and as I did mention earlier on, today marks 100 days in lockdown in South Africa due to the coronavirus pandemic. All industries have been affected by this, including sport, which has forced to stop all events as a precaution. But now restrictions are slowly easing, and we just recently heard from Sports Minister Nathi Mthethwa giving the green light to non-contact sports to return to training and competition, and contact sports just to return to training. Now, this morning, we are catching up with baby Spar Proteas captain Sne Mdletshe just to discuss the impact of the pandemic on netball. Sne, thank you very much for joining me this morning. I'm hoping that you're doing well. How have you been coping with this lockdown and no action from netball?
Thank you for having me. I think it's just important for me during the lockdown to spend time with my family. I think over the years I haven't had much time to spend with my family, and so this is really great for me to spend time with my family, and that's why it's been so great. It's really kept me in a good place in terms of my heart and my mind, and I've also been keeping busy with training where I can, and also a lot of schoolwork, so I think that has been keeping me in a level head, and that's how I've been coping through the lockdown with the support of my family.
And just touching on that training, we've been seeing on social media how Coach Dumisani has been posting some home training videos, even the likes of Bongi. Have these been helpful in motivating you as a player to keep training at home?
Definitely. I mean, you're talking about Coach Dumisani Chauke, who's the assistant coach of the Proteas. So for her to be out there encouraging players and motivating players and giving out tips and tricks on what to be doing as a player, I mean, that's the best motivation that you can ask for. And it's not only her, it's all of the coaches in the netball atmosphere. They've really been trying to do their best with giving us the best content in terms of training and also motivation to keep us going.
Do you think it's that much harder to train from home?
Yeah, definitely. I think because netball is so much of a team sport, you're at a place where now you have to literally work on the individual side of things. So it is much harder, but I'd also say that it's a good challenge, because now you're testing how strong are you mentally and physically as an individual. We always say to ourselves, you need to challenge yourself, you need to be better than you were yesterday. So this is actually the time where you actually implement that. And I think it's great for the players.
And I mean, this morning we're just talking about the effect as a whole. How has the lockdown and postponement of the TNL affected your local club Krenum season?
I mean, TNL is one of our biggest competitions, if not the biggest. So it's really, for us as players, it is disappointing, but we do understand the decision of our authorities, and we know that our authorities, being Netball South Africa and Telkom and all our other sponsors, are hard at work trying to get us back and trying to put in the necessary protocols and processes for us to come back. So I think for us as players, it's really a waiting game. So mentally, it's taking a toll on us, but we know that we just need to stay focused on our training and know that when we come back, we bring a really great tournament, and we bring really great entertainment to the people at home.
Now, over the years, obviously, we've seen the sport growing in the country. Do you think this pandemic will affect the growth of the sport as we've seen it grow over the years?
Definitely not. I think for everyone, sport has always been just the outlet, whether it's taking the family to go watch a game or watching a game as a family over a braai. So it's really, I think when it comes back, everybody will just value it more. Everybody will want to watch it more. Everybody will just want to train more, be involved more, support more. So I think the pandemic really made us realize the small things that we might take for granted, like having the advantage of watching live sports. I know myself, I missed watching football, which I like watching. So knowing that I also miss playing and I miss watching netball on TV, I mean, it really makes me want to watch it more. And now I want to go watch a live game. I want to go do specific stuff in terms of sports. So I think the pandemic, it did put us in a bad spot right now, but in the future, I think it's going to be much beneficial.
And I mean, you're not the only one, trust me, that missed watching football. But let's go back to your early days. Where does the love for netball start for you?
It starts in primary. I think as every kid, we had sports. We wasn't that much of sports in primary school, but we did our best. I think the formal journey started in grade 10 in Hoërskool Middelburg back in Mpumalanga. And that's where the journey started. They really groomed me. They really helped me in terms of developing, not only as a player. I think they really tried to develop me as a holistic individual. And that's that I want to take with me forever, and I want to pass on to my peers and people that are younger than me. That's where the journey started, and then it carried on. Right now I'm at the UFS, University of the Free State, and the journey is still carrying on. So it hasn't been that much of a long journey. I'm only still 21, so looking forward to the future.
21 and doing great things. I mean, right now you're the captain of the under-21 national team. But I want to find out from you, from the years since you've started playing netball, what are your thoughts on the current status of the sport in the country? And do you think the competition becomes more fierce as the years go by?
Definitely. I think as the sport grows, as netball grows as becoming one of the biggest female sports in South Africa and even in the continent, African countries start challenging more. We go out to African countries to play against them, and they want to beat South Africa because we've really created a culture of really this competitive league in terms of whether it's the Telkom Netball League, it's the USA tournaments or the varsity sports tournaments in the varsity structures. We've really become so competitive that every team we play against as a country, they want to beat us or they really want to give a good challenge. And even now you see with our senior Spar Proteas, they go out into they had the World Cup and they really, they push the other teams, and it just shows the level of competitiveness that we're able to bring at a national level, and it really comes down to the competitive level that we have in the provincial structures and in the league structures. So definitely competitiveness is growing, it's on the rise, and I mean we're hosting the 2023 World Cup, so there's a lot to look forward to, and players coming up now, like players such as myself, I want to be competitive, I want to be the best, I want to be part of that team. But that's something that I can't control. All I can control is how I train and my attitude day in, day out. So that's what I think every player wants to do right now. Just make sure that they're training well, they competing well. We don't have competitions, but I think the mind competition is also a very important factor because I think at this time you're really fighting with your mind and your emotions.
I mean, talking about the 2023 Netball World Cup, everyone is looking forward to those ones. But from a player's point of view, I'm sure there are aspirations of making sure that you're part of the national team and competing at that global showpiece.
Definitely. I think as a player, you always have goals and aspirations, and you work towards them. I, as a player, know that the selection is out of my hands, and what happens at selection is out of my hands. But what I know that is in my hands and in my control is my training to the build-up to selection. So I know that if I play a tournament, if I enjoy it, I'll play well. So it's all about really enjoying the game and making sure that if I go out, I become the best player for the team, because it is a team sport. And through that, I can only hope that I'll be recognized as one of those players to be in that team, and making sure that I work hard. It's important to not forget about working hard. You need to be fit, court fit. You need to be physically strong. So your conditioning needs to be on a great level, which means that you need to push yourself at least 4 times a week in the gym, making sure that you're pushing yourself. And now that we don't have gyms, it actually pushes you back to basics, where you're working on body weight training, how to control your body, how to really work with your own body, which for me I think is great right now in the pandemic. So it is finding those little advantages during this very disastrous time for our country.
What do you miss the most about the competition of netball? Because obviously we're still waiting to get the guidelines from the sports minister on how you guys are going to return to training. But as a player that's been home for such a time because of the pandemic, what is it, that one thing that you feel like, I miss this about playing netball?
I think it's that heart drop before the whistle goes and you're ready for the game and it's going to be a tough game and your heart just drops for that second before the whistle goes and you're ready for that game. And I miss that feeling, getting on the bus, being nervous, feeling that rush through your body and you're just like, I want to get on court right now and just prove what I can do. I miss that. I also miss the team spirit. I mean, if it's a team sport, the team spirit really plays a big role. And I miss our competitors, actually, weirdly enough. Playing against the other team, also spending time with them on the sidelines, because we learn from each other and we're also friends with the other players from other teams. So I really miss that team spirit and that competitive vibe, if I can call it that.
Well, Sne, I can see that you're really ready to go back to competition, and I'm really hoping that it's sometime soon. Thank you so much for your time. That was baby Spar Proteas captain Sne Mdletshe, just speaking to us about how she has been coping with the pandemic and the effect it has on netball.